back with more Katie Souza. I saw this video. Well, I saw the title of the video. I haven't really watched any of it. And I just thought that that was too good to pass up. I was visited by a warlock and 3 of his witches. So last time she talked about how she's been on a special assignment for I don't know how long to kill a werewolf. So we're gonna see. I don't know who was visited by the warlock, if it was her or one of these other 2 people. So let's find out.
So I know, Katie, that you, before we came on live, you were talking about how just some of the things that God trained you up in. I think it started in prison, but then I'm sure a lot of it, even when you got out, just like what God's doing in you right now, how God's teaching you how to just take out principalities and deal with things maybe differently than a lot of people know how to operate. So maybe start to take us into what you started to learn in prison and then what God's been doing in you lately.
What God's been doing in you lately?
Yeah. So like, I'll just give you an example of the meeting that we did, which was so fantastic when Jenny and the crew came down to Florida in Naples. You know, I was honored to be asked to be one of the speakers. And so about 3 nights before the event, I'm visited by a warlock and 3 of his witches. See, we don't understand that the covens work with the witches. We see the witches, but a coven always has.
No, you don't see the witches.
A male that they call the Lord.
When was this? 3 months ago? Okay, so it's kind of recent.
It's like we call Jesus the Lord. He is Baal, and he is over them. He is one of their power sources besides their sacrifices and their protector, even though they also protect him. But see, the pressure to break through in this event, I think they knew, and when I say this, I want to be very careful. They knew I was involved. Obviously they came, but it would be rooted out. So they all showed up, him too.
Why did they, like, I feel like she's leaving out a huge amount of context. So she's going to a prison to do one of her like sermons or something like that. I think maybe that's what they were talking about. And the warlock came to stop her.
That's unusual that he would show himself that quickly. So he did with his girls, and we had a little fight. And
where I need to call in or be a guest. I need something. I need to get in here. And when she tells these stories, I need to hear, where did this take place? What time of day did this take place? What specifically were you doing? Where specifically were you? Because I feel like these are just dreams or something, and they're not telling us.
And they were trying to kill me. This is happening in the spirit, by the way, if anyone's wondering.
And okay, it's happening in the spirit. Yes, this is Katie's. I don't know what she has, but I'm sure it's really hard to pronounce, and she probably has multiple variations or multiple different conditions. But yeah, okay, so this isn't real. Got it.
Yeah, and let me just stop you right there because I want to make sure we understand and take our time a little bit.
Yeah, I'm sure this will become very clear all of a sudden.
First and foremost, that same night, because I was on your show the next day, I came in and said to you, Katie, I had a really interesting experience last night. It was my first night in Florida, and I had
a dream,
a shape-shifting dream of men shape-shifting.
There we go. So it is. It appears to be lucid dreams or just nightmares that they have.
And then boom, there was a white face over the top of me. It was an LGBTQ spirit, and I said,
an LGBT spirit. What the fuck? What is wrong with these idiots? Okay. Hashtag don't mess with our kids. It should have been obvious that this was going to go in that direction. Oh my God. a white face, and it was an LGBT spirit. I'm going to rewind what does
there was a face, a white face over the top of me. It was an LGBTQ spirit. And I saw it and it spit on the back of my neck. And I woke up feeling it hit my neck.
No!
I started praying whatever that was off of me. And I wanted to tell you.
What? This chick is taking back shots in her sleep, and somehow she's such a deep sleeper that it doesn't wake her up. And she imagines this dream of what was really happening, and then she wakes up and is like, remember like on South Park, there was a ghost, this is ectoplasm. This is so much worse than I thought it would be. And I thought this was going to be really, really bad.
Her, because I was like, there might be some unfinished business here. And then she starts telling me what happened to her that night. But here's my question for you. And you prayed for me, thank God. When you're saying spirits, are these people that are actually like physical humans that are doing something somewhere in the vicinity?
Good for her. These are the questions I would ask.
But they have teleported, they've astral projected or whatever.
Wow.
And wherever they are in physical form, they're traveling to harass you. Is that what you're saying? Or are we talking just demons in operation?
There are so many different forms of manifestation. And that's a really good question, right? Very good question.
And an unanswerable question.
There's so many different forms of manifestation. Sometimes you're dealing with the demonic power that is their spirit guide or who they're pulling from or their power source or whatever. And you're just dealing with that spirit. Sometimes you're dealing with the actual people that are astral projecting into a room or into a place.
Okay. Sometimes it's a spirit. Sometimes it's the actual person astral projecting. So it's not real. So it's never real.
And so they are there in the spirit. Their body is somewhere else. And they have come out with a silver cord connecting them to the body to travel to the place where you are to attack you. And then sometimes you'll see that it's just an operation of another spirit doing the work for them, not their power source, but another spirit doing the work for them. I'm just going to say it. I'm sorry. Yeah. Werewolf spirits, serpent spirits are the biggest ones, the most usual ones. And
the serpents. Okay. I should write that down. The serpent spirits are the biggest ones. And did she say most usual or unusual?
Like that. So there's multiple different ways that these attacks or encounters and manifest.
And the encounter you had, were you saying that was an astral projection, that these were a real coven in your area? Is that what you're saying? That was okay. Yeah.
How do you combat them, Katie? Can the astral projection interact with you and harm you, or what?
At first, it was what would appear to be a dream. It comes.
Yeah, appeared to be. No, it was a dream.
Often, and there's another question. How does it manifest? Dream state, vision state, full on in the natural state. There's all these different ways. So it began as a dream, but because I resisted in the dream, it ended up at the very end to be an astral projection.
I love being right. It's just okay. It's just dreams. Okay.
So they were sending the demonic dream, the attack. They're meditating on the attack. They're around their altar and they are saying their incantations, bringing their sacrifices to empower them to come in to attack in a dream or a vision. But if they're unsuccessful, then they'll take the next step. And as I say all these things, trust and believe.
You know what would be great? Somebody should invite her to like a comedy club, but somehow hide from her the fact that it's like a comedy club and like tell her that she's just going to like give a speech or whatever. And then, they'll announce her, she'll come out and just have her tell this story and she would get more laughs. It would either be the craziest awkward silence ever, or she would get the most raucous roars of piss pant laughs that anybody has ever gotten. I'm pretty confident in that.
Putting it in a small tiny box compared to the plethora of ways that it can actually manifest.
Okay.
Katie, I have a question too for you. This is just so interesting because Jenny, I think you heard what happened to me a few weeks back, but something like what we're describing, I experienced more recently. And what I was curious about, and I wonder if you know the answer, I was like, why did this have permission to even do that? That was a question I had. Yeah. Thank God, even though I was kind of in a half awake, half.
Why would a demonic spirit need permission to do anything?
A sleep state. I was just like, anything that doesn't align with Jesus, get out right now in Jesus' name. And like, I quickly, like, fear was in the room and I quickly kicked it out and I fell back asleep and I was peaceful. Yeah. But when I woke up, I was like, whoa, that was major. But my question
it all happens
that I had in the morning was like, why could that have even have done that? I mean, my covers were moving, like something took place, you know, so.
No, it didn't.
What would you say to that?
Okay, so there's so many answers, but I'll bring a couple. Okay. You know, like, number one for me is always the soulish realm. Like, you know, that's again the scripture where Jesus says, John 14:30, the prince of this world is coming to attack you, right? But he has nothing in me that's in common with him, so he has no power over me. So sometimes there's an in common area. There's a trauma that you don't know about, or trauma that you do know about. There is a split in the soul from childhood, from molestation, from extreme, you know, crises that happen in the family life.
Right. So again, I don't think they're doing this on purpose, but this basically amounts to preying on people who have undergone some kind of trauma, and that trauma, I don't want to use the word manifests because that sounds like their language, but I don't know what else to say. But that trauma manifests itself in ways like, I don't know, night terrors or just some kind of general paranoia. And these people are here to say, oh yeah, that's werewolves and shit. Here, buy my DVD. Oh.
Anything that's happening in the social realm, or there's like maybe you've fallen into bitterness because somebody's mistreated you. A lot of times, here's the thing I want to say about that. A lot of times, like, you're doing fine, everything's good, you feel a hole in your soul, you feel well, and then there'll be this attack through a person or a situation that's so energized demonically that you begin to get weary underneath it and maybe even acquiesce to, like, I'm so tired of that person, or getting bitter or upset or offended. And that's exactly what the attack was coordinated to do. It was brought upon you to bring a bitterness or an offense so that an opening could be created for then that spirit to come in, because they want to come against you because they see you're about to do something. You're about to go do her voice, don't mess with our kids, an event. So prior to the event, the devil's very strategic.
So if you get stage fright, that's because it's the devil sending werewolf spirits. Or if you're about to have a fight with your friend and you've opened yourself up to getting offended or something, that's the devil.
He will bring a conflict with you and another person, or a situation to cause a wounded area to come. He'll just beat at that door until you finally go, oh man, or oh man, where you finally get so traumatized and wounded that then when you're close to that thing that you're doing for God, then the causeless curse cannot alight. The cause has now created an opening, a landing strip for them to come in and take the next step, which is something like I just described. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm. No.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So when this happened to you and when this happened to you and this warlock shows up with these girls, is that what you're saying?
I forgot we were talking about a warlock.
Is that there was an offense or an attempt of that or some type of place in you, so that was allowed?
Or was it the impending event coming up?
Yeah, or did it have to do?
So that's another.
The night before, when that happened to me, the night before, I was at a Don't Mess event, and this woman behind me that was not okay, that was not doing things okay. I turned around and I told her she needed to be quiet and lower her voice, and she got up and went to the back of the room. And that night, I had a dream about her, and it was actually tied to her. So it was kind of like that type of a situation. So anyway, I'm not.
Kind of sounds like you need to mind your own fucking business.
Yeah.
And that you can't let things go.
take us in another road, but I'm super like interested in, when Jenny has something spitting on her neck, it's like, why is that happening? Why is that
The back
allowed
shots.
to happen?
Yeah, why did your husband hump you while you were asleep?
What's going on there?
I kind of knew what happened with Jenny. I don't know, Delaney. I think I do. I do, but I don't know if I'm okay to share that.
Yeah.
Do you remember what I told you, Jenny, about the spit and the DNA?
Yes.
Oh
Share
boy.
that. Wow.
Well, yeah, there's DNA in that stuff. Yeah, you can bet there is.
You're okay with that?
Yeah.
You have a lot of people on staff that were living the life, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Or with gender confusion and all that, and they've come out of it. They're serving you now. They're totally in this vision, right? Well, those people, and if they're listening, I'm not saying anything negative. I'm just saying we all have this kind of thing. You still maybe have things in your soul that need to be healed from living that lifestyle, so that you have nothing in you that's in common. Now, Jenny,
therefore a gay ghost hawk tuad on the back of her head.
As leadership over this amazing group of people who are shifting their life towards God, are a target. And because of them being underneath you, it creates an opening, right? So what happened was that demon came, and the reason why it's a shapeshifter. That's what gender confusion is, right? Shape-shifting demon. It wants to change your body. It wants you to want to change your body, and remove parts and add parts and things like that. Yep. It's a shapeshifter. The reason why it spit on you is because in spit is DNA. It's trying to spit on you as the head to try to spread its DNA back into the people that are no longer in agreement with its agenda, to twist them, to cause you to crumble from the inside of your.
What makes this woman think that that's how DNA works? Like, what? It's because of the DNA. It's so hard to comment on this because it's too stupid. It's almost too stupid to even summarize. But what I think she said is there's DNA in the spit, and the DNA is going to influence you or people around you to enact the LGBTQ agenda or something like that. These people are weird.
Structure outwards. Oh, if I can get so-and-so to go back to wanting to be a boy, or if it's a boy, a girl, or whatever, I can collapse the power structure that Jenny has created from the inside. That's what I feel the Lord showed me when he told me that story.
Which makes sense. It makes sense because it makes sense. You're going after the, like when people tell me, wow, you have people that came out of the lifestyle that are now on your team. It's like, yeah, because we're not saying get away from us. We're saying the gospel is the answer. The gospel of Jesus Christ. It rescued me. It'll rescue you. And this must be a huge threat to the enemy, that we actually have people that are now anointed for this stone to hit Goliath's forehead. So that does make sense to me. One thing you also said when you prayed over me was that the DNA, even to not compromise, even the subtle compromising of like, oh, maybe we shouldn't go so hard on this, or maybe we need to back off this. You said something about that being, and I can see where that would be another tactic. Like, oh, just kind of pull back a little bit. Don't, hit this thing,
The fuck does that have to do with DNA?
Square, at the target. So no, that's really interesting. And would you say that as soon as you, as a person, anybody, you poke your head up above ground, okay, and you say, I'm going to hold a Don't Mess With Our Kids vision night. I'm going to tell this girl that's harassing the crowd, you need to be quiet. I'm going to stand up for truth. I mean, doesn't that alert the demonic realm? Like, ooh, threat. Let's try to, take this one down.
Intimidation tactics are always first line, and you'd be amazed how many Christians will fold from the intimidation and the fear. And
what does this have to do with DNA?
So that's
like,
it's always a first line, assault. from the enemy against us. And you've been really consistent, your people, and you have been really consistent in continuing to press further. And because of that, let's up the game now even more, right? And so by coming here, it was really good that all this happened while you were here, because it brought us to a place of greater authority, and it will
just imagine if Katie hadn't been able to pray over her.
Continue to climb. I mean,
share what happened, because I know
finish your story. We finish your story of what happened when the warlocks showed up and all that.
Yeah, and I believe they showed up here because I'm an intercessor in that way, right? So they showed up because they knew that I would be coming directly against them. So they were going to get me first. So I believe that's why. I hope I didn't have anything in common, but I ended up, they tried to kill me with a spiritual knife. And I ended up snagging it away from spiritual. It was not a witch. It was the leader. It was the Baal, the Lord.
A spiritual knife.
And so they fled. But then at the event, so we went to the event that night, and I'm like seeing witches on brooms. Yes, witches ride brooms. I will not, not tell you why, because it's so disgusting that I think that it would tarnish this broadcast. But they actually do ride brooms, and they like to get up higher than us so that we will be under their feet. Literally under their feet. And, you always have a better war perspective when you're up high. So they do that so that they can not only get up high, but that they can create a boundary, a demonic boundary around a place so that they can release their curses, incantations, cauldrons, serpents, all of the above. So I'm there, and there's the witches. Now I don't see the warlock at this point, and they are flying over the event.
I did a little search on a different web browser over here. And the thing about the brooms is it comes from this pagan ritual of just like putting either a rake or some sort of gardening tool or a broom on the ground and doing a dance around it, with the goal of it would be some sort of, it's supposed to make your crops grow, right? So think of like a Native American rain dance, but around a gardening tool to make crops grow. So yes, Katie, that was extremely disgusting, and I'm glad you didn't say anything about it.
And so I'm like, I better check in with Jenny. And so I did. I was like, how's it going? Any word from your peeps? And you confirmed that your team was feeling massive oppression. Is that correct?
And somebody had a dream about sex trafficking coming to the event, like actually in attendance at the event. Of course, we didn't know if this was in the natural.
How the fuck does sex trafficking attend an event?
Or if it was, in a spiritual sense, or both. But yes, there was a battle for sure. Yeah. And not just the dream, but also in just getting the event on the ground and working as a team.
Yeah. And, it felt good to know that we were all on the same page, so that way we can collectively come together. Then you and I and some other folks got up and made the first opening decrees and brought judgment against the altar that they're working off of, because they build, just like we build an altar with our worship and our praise and our sacrifices and our communion and our Bible reading and everything else. That's how we build an altar. An altar is a power station. It's where we meet with God. That's how we build it in our churches. It's how we build it in our homes. They do the same thing. They build a demonic altar with their sacrifices and their incantations.
And that altar is Disney Corporation. That's my guess.
And their demonic worship and all of that. So we judge that altar because that's their power source. Just like the altar in our home becomes our power source because that's where we meet with God. That's where we meet with demonic power. So it's their power source. So we judge that altar. We said a simple opening prayer, but with serious intent behind it and serious authority. And then during worship, I saw, I'm remembering, I went up an escalator because we have to get up higher than them, right? And I sent out fire and I saw their brooms ignite, but not all of them. It was, I think 1 or 2 went down. And the main witch, there's always one that's strong.
This is like a fantasy novel. Like I cast out fire. I wrote it. I don't know if she's describing a dream or if she's describing what was happening in her imagination as she was at the event or what.
You know, and so that one was left. And
this chick should write for like Dragon Age or Project CD Red or something like that. She could just like she could do some writing for them. Like we got to have this battle with a witch or a spirit or whatever you call them. And could you like give us set up the scene for us?
And the sorcerer, which I could not see, the wizard, the warlock, which I did not see. But things started to break off a little bit. We felt it, right? And then on the way home, me and my crew, on the way home, we went after the remaining thing. And this is when I saw, and I hope you said I'm okay with sharing these things, but it ties into the sex trafficking deal.
Yep.
I saw, sometimes God will take me behind the black curtain so I can see what's going on there. And I saw that the way this kind of sacrifices this group brought to their altar were by having perverse sexual relationships on that altar. The three witches with their Lord. And
so a foursome. Okay.
It was to empower that altar for trafficking.
I don't know what to say.
And as I recall, you did actually see two men.
Yes, we did.
Who did not fit and appeared in the meeting. Tell about that.
Yeah, they did. They were hanging out by the wall during worship, and our security team, which kind of goes incognito, you won't even know they're there, but they are, and they're ready for anything. And they went and stood over by them, got pictures of them. Yeah. And I think it was about 20 minutes into worship, they took off.
And you heard a word about protecting the children.
Yeah. When I got to Florida, my own children were with me, my young children. And
she has kids.
I said, you guys are not going to run around. You're not leaving my side. I didn't even know that our team had the dream about the trafficking at all. I was unaware of this. This is before I, even had the dream in Florida with the, spitting on my neck, none of it. I just felt it as a mother. And that's what God does. He tells us things in advance. And it wasn't fear. It was discernment. You are not going to leave my side. So in worship, you're right here. Yes. So we got pictures of them, and they were absolutely not a part of the group.
Yes. I didn't know about the dream before.
What do you think the odds are that they just racially profiled them? 100% or more than that?
Saw behind the black curtain, and I didn't know that those two men were there. I didn't have that information, but on the way home I saw that, and we came against that. And it was actually the first time God told me to speak Revelations. I believe it's 4 of it, where it says, because Jezebel, led people to idolatry, that she was going to be put on a sick bed. And the Lord actually gave me permission. He said, I want you to command and decree that they're going to be so sick in the morning. The remaining two was the warlock and his head witch, that they would be so.
When did the other two witches get defeated?
Sick, and everybody else connected to them on a sick bed, that they would not be able to even come to the event, much less even stay home and do their incantations, their chanting and all that, in order to project into the meeting spiritually. And
not really spiritually.
The next day, man, it was open. Right? I mean, it was open. So many people came to the altar. Every session was on fire. It was
Tell everybody what happened on Monday.
Oh gosh. And then on Monday, we get the word that one of the biggest trafficking busts in the history of Naples took place. And that was Monday after the event.
I heard about that.
And it was all thanks to Katie.
Wow.
It was like, okay. So see, it's so beautiful. God, he brings you guys here. We get yoked with you. We all work together. Your team got on the phone with me. We all prayed together. And it ends up with this beautiful thing where justice is taking place and wickedness is uncovered and exposed It's just so awesome.
Man. Well, I can promise you we're going to have to do 2 or 3 more episodes. Yeah. Okay.
Oh, I'm not doing 2 or 3 more episodes of this. In fact, I'm going to stop right there. I don't really want to give them any more attention than I already have at this point. But if any of you ever see something that they do or say in an episode that you think would be worth showing, just let me know. I'll see you tomorrow.